welcome back. We're here to do the Divine Feminine for the second week of September. Yes, these energies can play out throughout the month. So remember to come back and take a look at these updates and see how they're directly relevant to your situation at this point in time. Energy is fluid. Also, if you do land on a video, it could have a very synchronistic message. We do have this content out ahead of the crowd within our YouTube membership if you do want to get these pre-released well and truly early. Now, we're going to get into the read. As titled, the first thing I really felt and heard coming through was really that, you're wanting to get things done. You're wanting to get things moving. At this point, really in the energy-wise, we are having that Mercury energy going on. It can be causing some conflict. We may feel that we're juggling like a circus act. And I'm noticing the keeping up card. A lot of other energies were really coming through in your reading, was feeling like it's D-Day. It's time to get things done. I do feel, the notion of settling is like living in hell is more that we're going through this transformative stage. It may have felt quite long, all the way back from July, but I do particularly feel, especially with your cards coming through, we're going to zoom into the crowning energy. And hopefully that can give us some better context of where we're actually at in the mix with this. I'm seeing the keeping up card can signify that things are going to speed up. We generally do see with transits, we're going to look at both the spiritual and the astrological, how they're all interlinking and directly impacting us on our twin flame path. The keeping up, it can be it can be home-based, it can be energy-based. And I definitely feel with Mercury, it does tend to put a spanner in the works. From an intellectual point of view, I also feel you can have some real massive breakthroughs. And this can be really linking to romance. We had Venus go shadow direct, so we're really still working through those things. And as I mentioned, with it going direct, sometimes we can almost feel, oh my gosh, we're going to see people from the past, so how does that directly feel for me? And then we can have other situations where we're looking at it and saying, gosh, I didn't really hear from anyone. That's strange. But in the direct, we also do get those situations playing out, so be aware of that. I do feel in the past position where you felt uncertain, it does seem to be there's going to be some clarity coming through for you. This can link to, really coming into yourself, really coming into your certainty of who you are as a feminine, what you're wanting to do, how you're feeling to do with your confidence, your self-esteem, or the direct path with your twin flame. I'm noticing that this card, the Legacy of Light, is a 7, which can all link to those relationship sectors. This also can be to do with confidence and wealth. I do feel a lot of you can be looking at. And again, these can be some psychic downloads, but I most definitely do feel there is a potential here that some of you could be getting some information that's coming through as we do transition through the weeks. Now, I do need to move these around. I didn't really put them in order. The other thing we need to be aware of is the poker face energy. And I think intuitively, I do feel because of the detail orientation of Mercury, we can have some cleanups, but we are being extremely cautious. If somebody's telling us, this can especially be, how would I put it? One way it can play out is we can attract new people into our life, especially if you have had some bugbears with your twin, you've had no communication, etc. These can be almost, if somebody tells us sweet nothings, we're more gullible to fall into it. But I do tend to find further into the journey, you do become more receptive to people's intentions, people's vibrations. I also feel in your personal life, and be it its career, be it its love, I do feel you're being cautious and you're guided to be cautious. This can be especially with your grand ideas, really keeping it to yourself, letting people to bring themselves undone, verbally, action-wise, allowing people to prove themselves before we are pinning massive hopes on situations. Yeah, I think you found an easier way to deal with this. Yeah, you're really not putting up with promises that never come to be. I think you have less attachment because, sometimes that's one positive that it does create is that we're not having an attachment The scorpionic energy, this card links down to an 8. It's very passionate. It's very, it's the infinity. It's a common themes that play out in our lives. Sometimes what we do think is, oh, it's the status quo, it's the way it's going to be forever. But the other way it can actually play out is we become less, I wouldn't say optimistic. I would say being realistic, and that's the Virgo transit. So I do feel in the context of things, potentially within your twin flame path, you could be really realistic. It's like, okay, it's almost like that notion of pigs could fly. That's because you're wanting, in your ascension process, some of you could have felt, are you keeping up? Are you dealing with your ascension process? How are you coping? How are you time managing? Coming back to your crowning energy, they're keeping up. This also can be your twin as well, feeling that they're not in the same space or the same page with you. But what I am seeing here is there's a revelation and less attachment. So I do feel you're skipping to the beat of your own drum. I do feel if naysayers are coming and saying things to you, it's not that you have any attachment. I feel it's more, that things take time. You know that anything worth having is worth investing in, worth putting your effort into. And I feel in your own personal life, you are looking at various facets of your life. This can be the people you mix with, how you deal with your money, how you deal with your career, how you deal with your own heart, and what you want to put energy into. It's very Abraham Hicksy energy coming up, I'm spiritually seeing. And it's more so the notion of what we feed grows. So particularly if you have had some hard times, there has been some frustrations, understand Mercury does put a spanner in the works. Try to not personalize it. When it's happening to us, 100% doesn't feel personal. There is something here to a degree at a foundation level that hasn't quite shed away, that we are trying to move through. It's almost like Jenga, which piece do we pull out so that we can have success? Trust your instincts, but also trust the foundation. And I do feel some of you could be feeling, can you trust your instincts in this aspect? We do have the snake here. Snake, the card states, and this is in reverse. So your intuition and healing powers will guide you to a better place, but be careful. And I think you are being careful, and I think you know that subconsciously. And this is potentially why, maybe some of you aren't having as much attachment, but you're like, okay, let me assess this. Let me not go in my angel's fair to tread. Let me gauge whether these circumstances have changed. I do feel some of you are getting gossip through the grapevine. But you are very guided through this reading this week is to be cautious, to go slow, especially with your driving, your actions, your thoughts. Try to not be super critical on yourself in your journey. There could be some anger that does rise. Pardon me, I've had a cough. I'm noticing the 6, so caring for your health. This also can be feeling quite burnt out. It's like trying to get clarity, trying to look at things. Can I trust it? What do I do? I do feel, especially for those of you that have been in communication, it's almost this feeling that you're about to be quite transparent with the person. I also feel if you've been putting on a brave face and things have been frustrating you, you're a human being. It's okay to have that feeling. Also to go beyond the fair. There is this feeling that some things potentially have been delayed due to fair-based frequency, maybe not wanting to address it. It's almost like living with borrowed time. That's kind of the vibration that's coming through. And the keeping up does appear to be that there's some major situations that potentially you're having to address. Like I said, this could be because of Mercury retrograde and the cleanup effect and revelations and light bulb moments that we have, which is an absolute blessing. But it also could be that frequency where we put our foot down and go, right, it's time to deal. It's time to pay the ferryman. There's some things I need to address that I had put on hold. Maybe I've been unfair. Maybe I felt that if I did do X, Y, and Z, it was going to directly impact my path or it was going to impact me. But there could have been a reason why maybe you were feeling personally you couldn't be honest to yourself or you couldn't be honest to people around you. Let's look at the clarifier I want to know more about, this is things that are coming in quite quickly. Definitely quite quickly. So, you may feel it's happening at a drop of a hat. Yeah, this is going to give you a fresh perspective. I do feel a female involvement here, but I don't think in a negative way. I do feel that there could be a fellow friend, female guide, somebody who gives you some maybe emotional support, or maybe it could be something that you hear from a female and it gives you some indication of like a light bulb moment. That's what I'm feeling. Yeah, I think the surprise that you're going to have is things don't need to be difficult. It's not to say that we haven't had difficulty and that there's not difficulty in life, but I think you're trying to simplify a situation. You also, knowing that you have been surprised in the past, especially in your path, so you're trying not to get your knickers in a twist, if that makes sense. Even though we do have the foundational level here that is really looking as though that may not be so. There could be some anger that does crop up. But again, from a foundation, this can be passion, putting your energy into it, being free, seeing where some of our patterns, the sixth house is all about patterns, and it's the patterns that we bring ourselves undone accidentally, the self-sabotage or the self-fulfilling prophecies or the non-activity and not owning our own inner masculine that can impact us. I do feel there is it's almost like I'm hearing the term metamorphosis, and it's like you've gone through the shedding of a skin. You could be reluctant to energetically trust this process. I'm noticing the serpent, the snake hair, and I do feel to a degree it's almost like trusting that your change that you are going through, it's almost like feeling that your change is going to signify something terrible. And generally it's a natural cycle. So try to trust it. This is also bringing your sassy back. I do feel masculine's going through this change as well. It's almost indicating that this person is going to go through a transformation, and they will need to be in order to match you in vibration. That's not to say you're both going to be perfect. Not at all. We're humans. But there is a sudden change. And for some of you, yes, there is going to be a choice between two paths. That doesn't have to be two people. It can be two ways of doing things. But I do see through this read, two cards have come out and then two cards have come out again, and both of them are signifying that masculine and feminine are going through a grand change. Okay, what advice? Yeah. Oh, big changes with this outcome card. That we had the prison card in reverse, and like I said, settling is like living in hell. All right, so for you, these revelations, these wake-up calls, staying stagnant, not necessary. Don't freak out about your changes, because I do feel this is actually activating the movement within this path, and I feel this is part of Divine Feminine's transition. Allow what doesn't resonate with you to dissipate and to fall away. Try to trust the process with that. Feel free to book a personal reading if this is really hitting home for you and you feel like you're really struggling with that process. I do wish you the very best, and I will see you next week for the update, and stay tuned for the joint connection. I do particularly feel through the outcome card is that there is an opportunity here to really be that brand new vibration of you. And I do feel it's going to attract a lot of blessings, and some individuals may come into your life to test you. Please be on your guard about that. Sit with decisions before you make any major movements. Love and light. I'll see you soon.